We often associate silence with submission, shyness, or lack of confidence. But in reality, silence is one of the purest forms of strength. It takes immense self-discipline to hold back your words, especially when you're misunderstood, provoked, or challenged. Anyone can react. Anyone can argue, shout, and try to dominate a room with noise. But to stay calm and quiet when your ego wants to explode, that takes control. Silence is not about having nothing to say. It's about knowing when it's wise to say nothing. It shows that you are emotionally mature enough to observe before acting, to understand before speaking, and to absorb the energy of the situation before contributing to it. This level of restraint shows confidence, not cowardice. It means you're grounded in who you are, and you don't feel the need to impress, explain, or compete. When people see that you don't react emotionally or seek constant validation, they begin to see your presence differently. You become someone who can't be easily swayed, manipulated, or thrown off balance. That kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. People begin to listen more when you speak, not because you speak often, but because your words carry weight that comes from deep reflection and clarity. In fact, the strongest people are often the ones who say the least. They let their actions speak. They don't chase arguments, attention, or applause. They understand that loudness can often come from insecurity, while true strength is rooted in calmness and stillness. Just like a lion doesn't need to roar to remind the jungle of its power, you don't need to speak constantly to prove yours. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with noise, notifications, opinions, conversations, and demands, finding moments of silence becomes not just a luxury, but a necessity. Silence isn't just about the absence of sound. It's about creating space within yourself to breathe, to think clearly, and to reconnect with what truly matters. When you practice silence, you give your mind the rest it craves. You allow your thoughts to slow down and settle like dust in still air. This mental stillness creates a kind of peace that can't be found through external stimulation. It allows you to observe your emotions rather than be consumed by them. You begin to notice patterns in your thinking, triggers that disturb your balance, and the mental noise that's been clouding your judgment. In silence, these become clear. You learn to identify what's real and what's just mental clutter. With regular moments of silence, you stop being reactive. You stop jumping from one emotional response to another. Instead, you develop the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your actions with intention. This is what inner peace truly is, not the absence of problems, but the presence of a calm, steady mind that doesn't collapse under pressure. Moreover, silence strengthens your connection with yourself. You begin to hear your inner voice, the one that gets drowned out in the chaos of everyday life. You gain clarity on your values, your boundaries, and your purpose. And that self-awareness becomes your anchor, keeping you grounded no matter what storms come your way. There's a natural law of energy that we often forget in our pursuit of goals. The more you chase something desperately, the more it eludes you. Why? Because chasing is rooted in lack. It sends a message to the world and to yourself that you don't have enough, that you're incomplete, that you're in a constant state of wanting. And from that mindset, you begin to force things, relationships, jobs, friendships, recognition. But anything you have to force isn't meant for you. It doesn't flow with your natural rhythm. When you take a step back and stop chasing, something powerful happens. You begin to align with your inner frequency, and that energy becomes magnetic. Instead of trying to convince people of your worth or fighting for a seat at the table, you quietly build yourself. You work in silence. You grow, improve, and evolve. You focus on becoming, not proving. And just like a blooming flower doesn't chase the bee, the right people and opportunities start coming to you. There is incredible strength in stillness. By chilling, by being calm, composed, and intentional, you invite the things that are aligned with your true self. You stop attracting chaos and desperation because that energy is no longer within you. You become centered, and people can feel that. Your energy speaks long before you do. You walk into a room and get noticed not because you're loud or flashy, but because your presence carries quiet power. Letting go of the need to chase allows the universe or life itself to work for you. The things that are meant for you are already looking for you, but they can't find you if you're constantly chasing the wrong things. When you chill, when you stay grounded in your own lane, you create space for everything that truly belongs to you to arrive naturally. One of the most underrated powers of silence is how it helps you master your emotional world. Emotions are natural and necessary. Anger, frustration, sadness, fear, they all serve a purpose. But when those emotions take the driver's seat and control your actions, that's when problems arise. The moment you speak in anger, react out of fear, or make decisions in frustration, you give your power away to the temporary storm inside you. Silence gives you the space between the trigger and the response. It's in that space where real growth and strength live. When something upsets you and you stay silent, you create a pause, a sacred pause. You don't suppress how you feel, but you allow yourself time to feel it, process it, and respond from a place of clarity instead of chaos. That self-restraint builds emotional discipline, and emotional discipline is a superpower. The ability to control your emotions doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become wise. You learn to observe your emotional waves instead of drowning in them. You start noticing what pushes your buttons, who drains your energy, and which environments trigger emotional instability. Through silence, you train your mind to slow down and your heart to breathe before it breaks open in the wrong direction. Think of silence like an anchor. When life's waves try to toss you into overreactions, arguments, or breakdowns, your silence keeps you rooted. People may try to provoke you, test you, or even misunderstand your calmness. But when you know how to remain emotionally steady, especially when it's hardest, you become untouchable in the best way. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You are led by inner awareness. Silence isn't just a tool for self-mastery. It's a lens through which you begin to clearly see the world around you, especially the people in it. When you stop filling every gap in a conversation, when you stop trying to explain yourself or impress others, something subtle but powerful happens. People start to expose who they really are. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. In the absence of your words, they fill the space with their own, revealing their thoughts, values, intentions, and sometimes their manipulations. When you stay quiet, you're no longer distracting yourself with what you want others to think of you. You step into the role of the observer. You start picking up on the way someone looks when they lie, how their tone shifts when they're hiding something, how often they interrupt, dominate, or talk only about themselves. Silence sharpens your awareness. It enhances your emotional radar. You begin to see beneath the surface the subtle insecurities, the unspoken power plays, the hidden agendas that loud words try to cover up. Many people reveal their loyalty, their integrity, or their lack of it in the way they speak when you don't interrupt. Some people become uncomfortable and defensive. Others try to manipulate the silence and control the direction of your attention. But those who are genuine, grounded, and self-aware will respect your quiet and often open up more deeply than they would if you were constantly talking. This awareness gives you an invisible edge in relationships, in business, in friendships, and in life. While others are busy talking, oversharing, or reacting, you're noticing everything. You're listening to what's not being said. You're watching patterns, catching inconsistencies, and identifying the truth behind polished words. You're making mental notes, not judgments, just awareness. One of the greatest benefits of staying silent is the way it conserves and protects your energy. Every word you speak, every argument you enter, and every explanation you give takes something from you: time, focus, peace, strength. Most people don't even realize how much of their emotional energy is drained on things that serve no purpose. Defending themselves to people who already made up their minds, over-explaining to those who don't truly care, arguing with people who don't want truth, just attention. All of that is wasted effort, wasted spirit. When you master silence, you stop leaking your energy into meaningless situations. You become selective with your words, your time, and your presence. You no longer feel the need to respond to every accusation, to justify your choices, or to match someone's chaos with your own. Instead, you learn to let your stillness speak for you. That doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you choose your battles with wisdom and intention. Silence becomes your filter. It helps you separate what deserves your attention from what simply wants to distract or drain you. Every time you choose not to react, not to reply, not to argue, you're actually choosing to keep your power. You're not suppressing your voice. You're redirecting your strength where it matters most: your growth, your vision, your healing, your peace. People will try to provoke you, misunderstand you, or bait you into giving a reaction because that's how they steal your focus. But silence denies them that power. It puts you in control of where your energy flows. And when you stop scattering your energy in 100 directions just to be seen, heard, or understood, you start channeling it into creation, transformation, and inner expansion. That's how silence becomes not just a form of protection, but a strategy for power. There is a deep and often uncomfortable truth in life. The more you try to control the outcome, the more you resist the natural flow of things. We've been conditioned to believe that we must always push, force, chase, and grind for everything we want. But in reality, some of the most powerful things in life come when we stop struggling and start trusting. When you choose silence over desperation, patience over pressure, and presence over panic, you begin to move in alignment with life, not against it. Staying silent doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your inner work without seeking instant results or validation. It means having faith that what's truly meant for you is already moving toward you in ways you may not yet see or understand. You stop rushing the process, stop comparing your journey to others, and instead you focus inward. You refine your mind, you protect your energy, you build your character, and in doing so, you create the foundation for what's coming. The things that are meant for you, real love, deep peace, purposeful opportunities, and lasting success don't respond to noise, begging, or chasing. They respond to alignment. And alignment only happens when you let go of fear and begin to trust your timing. You stop looking for signs and start becoming the sign. You stop knocking on closed doors and start building your own. You release the urge to control every detail, and instead, you become a quiet force that draws in what resonates with your energy. When you stay silent and grounded, you become a magnet for what belongs to you. People notice the difference in your energy. Life begins to bring you experiences, connections, and breakthroughs that match your frequency, not because you shouted for them, but because you silently prepared for them. The right things begin to unfold in the right way at the right time. You're no longer chasing, you're receiving, and you're not forcing anything to happen, you're allowing it.